traveling interstate highways with a lot of cash, like we are, there's a new form of highway bandit known as the state police. So Paul, who co-authored Dark Star Blackjack, and co-author, to say that Paul co-authored it is to give me way too much credit. Because Paul wrote most of that book, to be honest with you. He did it by interviewing me, but...
and then falling asleep.
But that's why we recorded it, because I would put him to sleep with my casino stories. And then Paul had the amazing ability to take my boring stories and actually make them sound interesting in the book. So that was good. That was talent. And so Paul is a new Advantage player, a new AP, and I taught him everything I know, which means he doesn't know much. No.
No, he actually knows quite a bit. So I'm playing Advantage, not only Advantage playing slots, but I'm also doing some video poker. And what I would say about it is, as I'm anticipating your next question, Dark Star.
Yeah.
Is, how's that going and stuff like that. And I do enjoy it. And it's not, it's like we treat this like a job. We're not doing it for fun. In my mind, there's nothing fun about sitting in front of slot machines, waiting for them to pay off. When a lot of times we goose the play buttons as fast as we can to get to a pay point much quicker than watch them go through every single lengthy rotation. I do it because it's a way to make income. I'm not getting any joy out of watching these ridiculous animations,
right?
Or the sounds. Like one of my least favorite games is called Egypt. I already forgot the name.
Golden Egypt?
Yeah, Golden Egypt. And that thing will ring a bell if you want a quarter. It's like, come on, you're a quarter? Who cares?
Right.
So, so it's work. But there's self-discipline involved in that. I equate it to fishing. And when you go fishing, a lot of times you're going to go out on a lake or up on a river or whatever, and you're not going to hit the fish right away. And you might be there 5-10 minutes and you move to another spot. And you might be there 5 minutes and move to another spot. Eventually you hit a spot, you catch a couple of fish or a fish or two, and then it might be done, and then you move on. Well, that's what you're doing in the casino at Advantage Play. You're going from machine to machine to machine to machine all day long. And it requires also that the casino has got enough people playing those machines so that those fish are bountiful and ready to catch.
So wait a minute, what the fish are the machines, or the fish are the people playing the machines? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, right. It's actually both.
Right.
So, And then video poker I enjoy, and I want to learn a lot more about video poker because I'd rather be sitting and just playing against one machine for several hours than going around and hoping that other machines got played while, since I last left them maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago, and not doing all the circuitous walking around. So that's not necessarily a great description, but that's what I do so far. Now, I'm going to interrupt this program to say, check out my video channel.
Yes.
Fantasy Dream Homes. It just hit 1,000 subscribers today.
Woohoo! All right.
So it's my daughter's birthday today.
Happy birthday to your daughter.
So and it's I'm totally excited about it. And I was involved heavily with Dark Star in starting the Dark Star channel, and I got to tell you, starting the Dark Star channel was a lot easier than starting the Fantasy, and a lot less work than starting the Fantasy Dream Home channel. And it's been an arduous task. But anyway, back to talking about.
Well, we can talk about it for a minute. So, I mean, your channel is, and it's sort of related in that if you get rich from gambling, then you might want to buy a Fantasy Dream Home.
Right, and what we're talking about as far as what is a Fantasy Dream Home, it's typically a home that in the United States is going to be worth, I want to say $2 million or more. And a lot of people would call these mansions. And some of them are 10, 15, 20. Well, you get out into Miami, it's not unusual, or out in Los Angeles, it's not unusual to find homes that are 25, 50 million, $100 million homes. And that's what I do is I take people on a virtual tour of the homes.
Yeah, in all different parts of the country and
all over the world.
In different parts of the world. And so you learn something. I like the parts where, and you did more of this on your older videos. You would spend some time talking about the culture and the area and that, and
yeah, and I'm figuring that's what makes it harder than Dark Star. I'm figuring it out as I go along, and I'm really trying to rely on my subscribers to tell me what they want to hear. I sort of stopped doing the presentation of the community that I'm featuring homes in. So if it's in Auckland, New Zealand, comes to mind. I've done a few there. Well, maybe people don't even care about the history of Auckland, New Zealand or something. They just want me to get to the homes. That's lately sort of what I started doing. It's like, I'm just going to try to shorten these videos up, and I'm just going to go right into the home within 60 seconds. I'm already showing the first home. So.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. All right. So back to gambling. Now, you have another source of income. But what are your thoughts on somebody? Do you think it's possible for someone to make a full-time living playing slots and maybe video poker?
Absolutely. Okay. I absolutely do. You have to be an advantage player, and I don't even know what the exact term for it is, but you have to approach it as a profession. You're not there to gamble. If anything, you're the anti-gambler. You're taking a lot less chances, and when you do place bets, they're on likely known events as in a payoff to occur. And you walk away from more machines than you actually get to play.
Right.
9 times out of 10, you're walking up to a machine that's not playable.
Right.
And you walk away from it because, why do you want to waste your money? I don't.
Right. Well,
I want to get a payday every time I approach a machine. But that's like approaching fishing holes. A lot of times there's no fish there.
Right. So you came at this. You weren't a gambler. You never really liked gambling, just for fun. Right?
Right, correct.
So, you did have one experience that you told me about in Vegas, where $5,000 disappeared pretty quick. But I don't think that was even very much fun for you.
No. I can't stand. Well, it's not that I can't stand it, but gambling's not. I'd rather watch a good movie than sit in front of a slot machine.
Right. So that's why you're actually a good candidate to become an advantage player. Most of the really good advantage players, most of them, didn't start out as just recreational gamblers. They went into gambling reluctantly. They saw that there was a way to take advantage of certain games and make money. A lot of the vultures, is what I wanted to say, a lot of the slot vultures, from what I've experienced, they're just gamblers, and they've figured out that there's certain machines that can be beaten and how to beat them. But what happens is, I see a lot of them that if there's no machines that are playable, well, then they'll play anyway because they came there to gamble.
Right.
and you just can't do that.
But, and this is what I do find intoxicating, and what I do find, if there's anything I find addictive, it is being in business for myself.
Yes.
And not having to work for any. I don't have to punch any time clocks. I don't have to be at work by a certain time of day and a certain day of the week. I don't have to worry about being late, having a vacation day in case I need to go see the doctor or go to the store or whatever. It is so liberating.
Yes.
Not having to work for anybody else. That is the best.
Well, amen, brother. That is why we do this.
Yes.
Amen to that. That is really why we do this.
It's number one.
Yes, the freedom. It is absolute freedom. It's not that we're making a lot of money. Both of us could probably do something, work for somebody that would actually pay us more, but it's the freedom.
Total freedom. And to me, that's, until you experience it, not having to work for somebody else, once you do, more often than not, you're never going to go back. It is,
right.
It's a life-changing event where you feel like somebody's just taken chains off of you and set you free.
Well, and I've said this before, but but right now I am truly in the best position I've ever been in terms of my bankroll and resources, and because I've started to stop this more than once where I had to go back and get a job, but I've been doing this full time now for going on, I think it's getting close to 4 years, at least over 3 years straight, without a job. And I came real close, as anyone that watches this channel knows. If you saw my real Blackjack life, I was almost bankrupt and would have had to do the unthinkable and get a job, but I pulled myself out with slots, and I can't see ever going back to a job now. That's just not going to happen. I've finally gotten this figured out to where I can make this work, period. And I have a big enough bankroll now where if I have a huge loss, I can just adjust my risk accordingly. And like when I play blackjack now, my risk of ruin is usually, it depends on the game, but it's usually less than 0.5%. And that doesn't mean I have a 0.5% chance of going broke. That means if I kept playing the way I'm playing, there's a 0.5% chance of going broke. But if I lost half my bankroll, I would readjust my betting strategy and my risk, and cut it back down to 0.5% or maybe 1% again. So my risk of ruin is way less than 0.5%,
Right.
because I can just keep adjusting, and that's basically what Kelly betting, the principle of that is, in theory, you could never go broke because you would always constantly be adjusting your bet. But obviously, if you get in a really bad streak, it gets to the point where, well, they don't have any $1 tables anymore, but, and you have to bet such a small amount. But, no, if I lost, say, 75% of the bankroll that I have right now, I would just go back to slots and less risky slots, where it's just, you're only going to make maybe 6 spins, and it's either going to pay off or it's not. So the risk is pretty low. And I would just build it back from there. And I've gotten into so many other forms of gambling too. I've been doing more and more stuff on Predicted, which is gambling on political events. And I try to stay disciplined and just go with the things that are obvious, or sometimes you can bet on stuff that's already happened. They just haven't finalized it yet, and it's amazing how many people are still betting the wrong way. And you're not picking up a huge amount of money, but it's like a guarantee. You might only be making 5%, So, you're betting $95 to win $100. So you're only making $5. But it's like impossible to not win.
Sweet. The other thing I would say is you're going to have losses, and you have to, in any advantage play game, that you don't win all the time. There are going to be losses. And you just have to be willing to go in that with open eyes and expect that there are going to be times when, things don't go great.
Yes.
But in the long run,
right,
it more than pays you to stay out of working for somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to stay focused on the long run. Like both this trip in particular, we both lost this trip.
Yep.
But neither one of us are worried about it at all.
We're not crying about it or anything.
No. In fact, we're saying it was a great trip because.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It was. I don't necessarily want to say where we went, but we went to a city that Paul's always been meaning to go to, and we had a good time.
Yeah, real good time.
I remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My hotel room wasn't the best.
Oh, it did have a little problem last night with the heat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got my own room, and for whatever reason, my heat shut off in the middle of the night, and we're in some seriously cold weather right now.
Yeah.
The average, there's a huge cold front that's came down from Kazakhstan that's coming all across the Midwest, down as far as places like Oklahoma, Missouri, Kentucky. It's really much farther than a lot of these cold fronts ever get. And the average temperature, I'd say, across a huge swath, anywhere from Minneapolis down to Louisville, Kentucky, is probably about 3 degrees.
Yeah.
It's just terribly cold. So that's 3 Fahrenheit, obviously. Maybe minus 10 Celsius, really seriously cold. So I was without heat for 3 hours last night. I woke up really, really cold, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to turn this room heater on in this hotel. And these aren't cheap hotels we stay at. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get this room heater to go back on. And I went the next day, instead of calling up, and I thought, you know what? They're just going to have a teenager working at the desk anyway. They're not going to be able to fix it. I'll just tell them about it in the morning. And they comped our parking. So, hey.
Yeah, so we got free parking.
Sorry, long story, but whatever.
Yeah.
We should turn this camera back around so they don't have to look at me anymore.
All right. So Paul thinks you would rather look at the road,
right.
so let's see how that goes.
Just seeing we get to see Johnny Law.
Since we have a
up ahead.
a passenger, there's no reason.
Dun, 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 dun.
There's no reason that we don't.
We're gonna get some trucks being stopped for whatever.
Yeah, for speeding maybe, which I can't believe that'd be the reason. Because the speed limit here is 70, so I can't imagine the truck is going that fast.
But yeah, all right.
So anyway, so Paul froze last night, and
But it's been a great trip.
Yeah, but other than that, it's been a good trip. And the hotel was kind of janky, actually, even though, like Paul said, it's not cheap. But I talked about this before. I always stay at Holiday Inn or Holiday Inn Express, and they're consistently good. Except this one was not great. The room was all right, other than the problem Paul had with the heat. But
they're going through construction.
Yeah, they're remodeling. So.
We just caught them at a bad time.
Yeah.
We're giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I set up the room, so my bad for not. They probably had a disclaimer on there that it was under remodeling, and I didn't notice. But anyway, usually that just means the pool is closed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and everyone uses the COVID excuse, which is why there was an almost non-existent breakfast that normally comes with it. So,
it's okay to tell them what state we're driving across.
You can, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna pan here. we're about to see a hill in this state, which is so rare. You see that right there?
Yes.
That's a hill that we're driving across Illinois. I'm panning. There's another slight hill up there, panning. But you're seeing the rare hills you'll see driving through Illinois. And I'm just going to pan this way. Look at how flat that land is. And that's what you can expect. It's I say it's the flattest state in the nation to drive across, and only followed by my home state, Nebraska. Nebraska's the second flattest state. You better be prepared for long, flat drives.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, and by the way, I know I'm going to get the comments, so I'm going to just mention this now. People don't like to comment when I do these driving videos that I camp out in the left lane, and I should move over, And we talked about this on the way down, and the thing is, I drive constantly. Sometimes I feel like I'm a professional driver, not a professional gambler. And sure, I can move over, but hey, there's no one behind me right now. And even if there was, I can tell that I am going ever so slightly faster than the car in front of me to my right. And I will eventually pass him. And if I move over and there's someone comes up behind me, they will not pass me before I hit that white car without slowing down. And so that is why I do that. And you can call me rude, but I'm used to being called rude because nobody likes the way I play blackjack anyway. Players don't like me. The casino personnel don't like me. I guess I should mention that I did get escorted out of a casino today. So I should talk about that experience a little bit. So,
wait, I just want to interrupt though. I want to come to your defense too I'm not advocating driving on the left, but here's another reason to drive on the left, especially in the Midwest. First of all, the left lane gets cleared by snowplows faster than any of the other lanes. So it's going to be the driest lane and have the least amount of snow. Also, because there's less traffic in the left lane, it's not going to have as much wear as the right lane.
Right.
And the right lane, a lot of times, will have all kinds of bumps and holes in it, and the left lane will be super smooth.
Yes.
So there's another reason that I camp out in the left lane.
Yeah, especially for the video, because you guys don't want to see a thing bouncing all over the place. So I do it for you.
Yeah, there you go. Even though I'm bouncing the camera. That's because my elbow's poised on my gut, which is made of Jell-O.
Oh my God.
So anyway, tell them about the casino.
So I went there. We got to town on Friday night, and I went in there, and then I played their double deck game, which, as a lot of you know, you get picked off as a card counter on double deck pretty fast. But they had a really good double deck game, so I played it. And then I played their 6-deck shoe game a little bit too. And I didn't play it for very long, and I was talking to the two pit guys that were there. And the thing about their high limit room is, where the double deck is even though it was Friday night, it was pretty slow. And so it was just me and the dealer and like 3 pit people. So obviously they can see exactly what I'm doing, and I don't like to use a lot of cover because I'm going to make as much money as I can. So anyway, long story short, I went back in there today, which was 2 days later, and I played like, I don't know, I was in there for like half an hour, and
was it alone? Were you there alone?
There
again?
was one other player who got mad at me for switching from one hand to 2. And I even used a little bit of cover, and I'm actually kind of pissed at myself for using cover. So here's what happened. I was betting one hand, the count started to go up, and I didn't switch to 2 hands right away, but then it got, really positive. I thought, okay, I got to get another hand in there. So I went to 2 hands of 75, and of course the guy got mad at me because I switched to 2 hands. He lowered his bet right away, and then I got an ace as my first card in the second hand, which would have been his ace, so he's all pissed off. And then, anyway, the next hand, the next round, it dropped. The count dropped way down again. And I'm trying to remember if I went back to one hand or I might have played two, but I played table minimum, and this is high limit, so table minimum was 25. That's their high limit. I know it's not that high, but so I played two hands at 25 maybe, and then the count went up. I had put my money out there before the dealer flipped over his card, but then the dealer flipped over his card and ended up drawing a whole bunch of small cards. So then I really wanted more money out there because this is double deck, and we were down to one deck left, so the count went from -1 to +3 or something like that. And I really wanted to put more money out there, but I decided not to, strictly for cover. And I pushed on that hand, so I was happy. I was like, well, I pushed anyway, so that's good. But then I did raise my hand, my bet back up. It was high now. And right away he goes to the phone, and you can kind of get a sense. I was pretty sure I was going to get thrown out. So I colored up and I left, and the other guy left first. I said, well, if you're leaving because you don't like the way I play, I'm leaving anyway. By the way, I'm telling enough details. If anybody from the casino is watching this, I'm sure they know exactly what I'm talking about. But I left and I sat down at a video poker machine. And because like what we were talking about before, I was vulturing it. It was positive, you know. And so I started playing it. And I was finding all kinds of plays on it. So I just kept playing. And I saw two security guards come right outside the high limit room. Because I wasn't in high limit anymore, but I was near there. And I saw them come, and they saw them. So I knew they were going to come and talk to me. But I thought, well, whatever. You know, maybe I'm wrong. So I just decided to keep playing the video poker machine. So eventually the security guard comes up, you know, and the usual drill, you know, you have your ID on you? No. Well, you know you have to have an ID to be in the casino. Well, then you should have asked me that when I came in. And he had nothing to say to that. And he said, well, if you have your ID, we can talk about maybe letting you stay in the casino. And I'm like, you're not going to let me stay in the casino whether I have an ID or not. And if you don't want me to stay here, then why would I stay here? You want me to leave? I'll leave. Fine. So he said, yeah, you're going to have to leave. I said, okay. So I went to the cage because now a lot of times, like Munchkin talks about this, he says, if they ask you to leave, don't even color up, just leave. Well, it's going to probably be a long time before I come back here, you know. And so I thought, I better just get my money. And it was a good thing that I did, because then I refused to go with them. They wanted to fill out this paperwork. I said, I'm not filling out paperwork. They said, well, we have to fill it out. I go fill it out. I'm not going to come with you and watch you fill out paperwork. You want me to leave? I'm leaving. And so I got my money from the cage, and I walked directly out. They followed me out. And as I was leaving, especially since I wouldn't do the paperwork, wouldn't give me the ID, they said, well, you're trespassed, which means if you come back here, you'll be arrested for trespassing. That's only like the third time I've ever played in this place in my life. And I have about a total of maybe 4 hours total playing. And they did all this based on like 30 minutes of my play. Which I don't believe that you can tell that somebody is good in 30 minutes. You know? And by the way, the guy that was mad at me, I'm pretty sure he was counting also. Except that he was real obvious about it. He said, wow, we haven't seen a big card in forever. And then he tripled his bet. Well, but they let him play. He announced, boy, there hasn't been any big cards this whole shoe yet. Let me triple my bet. And they let that guy play.
Well, see, maybe they need to be fooled into it. You know, like, hey, I haven't moved enough chips lately. Instead of moving one out to the circle, I think I'll move 4 out to the circle.
Right. Maybe you got to just, yes, a friend of mine used to say that the best way to get away with something is to hide behind the truth. You know, like, yeah, of course I slept with my secretary. You know, then they'll just think that you're sarcastic and you'll get away with it.
Gambling with the broadcast. Gambling with the podcast.
Yes.
they were talking about in some particular highway, interstate in Oklahoma, that is notorious for cash confiscation.
Oh.
And
Well,
where it's got a reputation of cops just taking your cash.
I don't know if there's a lot of good casinos in Oklahoma. Yeah. Well. All right. Well then, note to self: don't carry a lot of cash through Oklahoma and slow down here, because this is another speed trap hanging right up in the air there.
Oh, so there's two of them.
Yeah. And there's a camera mount. They clock you between the 2 points and then take a picture of your license plate.
I have blown through those in other states.
Yeah.
I've never.
I got one ticket once. And yet I still think it was a good trip. Lost money, got 86th. Paul had no heat, but we still thought that it was a good trip.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's the kind of positive people that we are.
Yeah. No, it's and you gotta, you gotta try to look for in general and positive in life. You'll be a happier person.
Yes.
You don't want to stress yourself out about stuff.
Right.
And you got to keep telling yourself over and over again, I don't work for anybody. I don't work for anybody. I'm free. I'm free.
Right.
That makes all the down stuff so much easier.
Right.
Way easier.
Yep.
No schedule. Just work your hours. So.
Yeah. So we'll do all the usual.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Don't forget to hit that, comments. We want your comments,
Yes.
of course. Yes, hit the bell for notification.
Yep.
If you see Dark Star out in the casino, do not approach him. He likes to remain anonymous to dealers, especially pit bosses.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're in a casino that has blackjack. I have met some fans. I guess I could call them fans in casinos.
Yeah, he has. He's run into and some of his fans I've met too.
Yeah.
That have probably I'm not gonna say how they figured out who it was, but yeah, they've come across him in casinos.
Yeah.
And so, and the polite thing is to do. I mean, I don't even do this with him. When he and I are in the casinos, I typically never go up to him when he's playing at a table. I leave him alone because I just don't want any kind of cause anybody to think anything.
Right.
We'll close by letting you see Dark Star's hands on the steering wheel.
Look at that, 10 and 2. I happen to be 10 and 2. Look at that.
He's driving my car, by the way.
Yes,
so
driving Paul's car at 10 and 2. Look at that.
So
Nice and safe.
Heading, where are we at? South of Bloomington.
Yeah.
Last map shot, Bloomington, Illinois. That's us right there.
Yeah. So there you go for all you Google stalkers out there to try to figure out where I live.
All right, I'll let you.
Yeah. So thanks for everyone for watching. And may the count be with you.
There you go. That's good.
That's a pretty good video.
Yeah. I think that'll be good.